Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On-Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on-demand care for common ailments, such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stlukesonline.org.
In collaboration with Boise State Public Radio, the Community Library presents a new podcast, Sheep Stories. I'm host Vance Cunningham. Join me as we listen through the archives of the Trailing of the Sheep Festival to learn about the Scottish, Basque, and Peruvian immigrants foundational to the sheep herding industry over the past century. Hear their stories of traveling to Idaho and learning the language of the sheep. Find Sheep Stories wherever you get your podcasts and at boisestatepublicradio.org.
More Idaho Matters now from the studios of Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Gemma Gaudette. Corruption, revenge, and meat pies that are hiding a deadly secret. This fall, Opera Idaho is inviting you into the dark world of Stephen Sondheim's musical masterpiece, Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. But before opening night, Opera Idaho's General Director, Stacy Trentiso, is joining us for a peek behind the curtain to tell us how they get those meat pies and all that bloody murder on stage. Stacy, welcome to the program.
Hi, Gemma. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, Stacy, for those who haven't seen Sweeney Todd, can you give us a brief summary of the musical?
Sure. I'll try not to give away any secrets. There is a little twist at the end that you got to come and see. So it's often regarded as Sondheim's most intricate and maybe even one of his most important works. On the surface, it's kind of a thriller. He calls it a musical thriller, and he really intended for it to be a movie on stage. And it is everything that there's a lot of blood. I don't know how much blood we're going to have, but we will have some. And the story is based on an old what they call Penny Dreadful set in Victorian England, and it's basically the story of this sailor who is wrongfully sent away to Australia by Judge Turpin, who is in love with his wife. So he sends him away to Australia. He comes back 15 years later, basically seeking revenge, and ends up, kind of with a mental breakdown, going a bit crazy. He teams up with the pie shop owner, his former landlord, Mrs. Lovett, and they have this brilliant idea because, the price of meat, what it is these days, she can't find meat for her meat pies in her meat pie shop. And so they team up to not only bring revenge to Sweeney Todd himself, but bring some money into Mrs. Lovett's pocket by creating their own source of meat for the meat pies. And so it's kind of sensational and thrilling, and there's some mystery in it, and there's fabulous music. And Sondheim was inspired by a horror movie that he saw when he was a kid. And 30 years later, he decided he wanted to put something like that on the stage. And so here we go with Sweeney Todd.
So what made you want to bring this production to the stage?
Well, we typically do our fall production in the month of October. And this year we saw that October, there was a Friday and a Sunday, because we do Friday and Sunday performances at the Egyptian Theater. And this year, Friday and Sunday is on Halloween and All Souls Day. And we've been talking about potentially doing Sweeney Todd because it's a really important work. It's very intricately written. A lot of people call it an opera in some capacity because of, it's a very operatic piece. A lot of opera companies are doing it these days. And it's, we felt like it was accessible to us at this time. And we just thought that we couldn't pass up the opportunity to open on Halloween with a thriller on stage, and this was the one that we chose. I mean, there are quite a few kind of creepy operas out there, but we thought Sweeney Todd was pretty accessible. It's pretty popular in contemporary culture right now. People recognize the name, and so we decided to take a stab at it. No pun intended.
Okay, so I also understand. Yeah, maybe, right? I also understand this will be a landmark production for you as a company.
Yes, yeah, we've done some musicals in the past, but just concert versions. We've collaborated. For example, I think we did a collaboration of West Side Story with the Boise Phil in the past. We did some summer musicals in past seasons, and we try to incorporate some musical theater on our summer concerts, Opera in the Park, if you have been to one of those. And but this is the first time we're doing a fully staged production, and that what that means, it's the first time we're doing the set and the costumes and the all the things that go with the lights and the in this one the blood and the gore as well, um, that goes along with a big production, and we're putting it in the Egyptian theater, which, as you know, is not it's a historic building, and so it doesn't have the accoutrement or the functionality of a bigger Broadway house like the Morrison Center might have. So we've got to work with what we have, and I have a super fabulous creative team that has designed a set to fit exactly in that space, in that theater space. And we have a fabulous lighting designer who we hire, comes out of Chicago. And he does just an amazing job creating the vibe and the atmosphere in the Egyptian theater. So it's going to be it's an epic show, and that we're putting it in such a unique space and an intimate space is going to be really special. And I'm, just looking for, we're just getting started with everything. So I'm really looking forward to see how my team is gonna, solve all the, all the issues that we face. But it's gonna be a really great process and just a lot of fun, I think.
And I would imagine that these roles demand a lot, not just from the performers, but your designers, directors. I mean, what is it like tackling a production like this and all elements of it?
Well, we've got the production, we're a production company essentially, so we have the team in place. And I'm probably, I should knock on wood about this, but we have so much fun in our production meetings because of the team that we have assembled. If you have a good team and everyone is focused, everyone is good at their craft, everyone has the same goals for the production in mind. And for us, it's about the experience with the audience. It comes together really well and quite smoothly, to be quite honest. But we've got, it starts with the stage director and their concept. Our stage director for this show is Rose Freeman. And I worked with Rose about a year ago. We hired them when I was at Opera Mississippi. And a fun story, I'm sure, Gemma, Jason and Michelle Detweiler. And
Hmm.
we actually all sang in a performance of Deflator Mouse with Rose as our stage director about 2 years ago. And so I'm bringing Rose back to do this production. They are just, Rose's joke is that they have often worked with a piece of string and duct tape in other theaters. And so we actually have a pretty good budget for, for them to work with this time. And so they're extremely creative, innovative, and they also bring some members of their team that they've worked with in the past to Boise with them. So we've got an intimacy coordinator who helps our actors figure out where to move and where to go. And we'll have the iconic barber's chair. So, if you're familiar with the show, Sweeney does his best, and then
Hmm.
the victims end up sliding down, sometimes into the set, sometimes behind the set. We've got to figure that out. Where are they going to go? But the idea is that they fall through a trap door into the bakehouse, which is where then, they get ground up and put into the meat pies. And so we've got to figure out how that's going to work in the Egyptian theater. And I have a local scenic designer, James Haycock is his name, who has designed this kind of like there's a slide that's going to happen, I think, backstage, so they can slide down, and there's going to be an oven in the middle. And so it's just putting all these pieces together is a challenge, but it's like a fun challenge. It's like it's a puzzle that you have to put together. And again, as long as you assemble the right team players, it usually comes together without a hitch, or at least very few hitches. And the ones that come in, we end up solving, pretty quickly because you've got a lot of creative people in one space.
So, Stacy, before I let you go, I really should mention that you will be talking more about really the magic behind this production later this month. So, can you
Mhm.
remind us when and where that will be happening?
Sure. Yeah. So we did a session yesterday at the Osher Institute, and we'll do the second of that session on the 29th, so next Monday. And that will be here on the Esther Simplot Performing Arts Academy campus. And we'll do that at the Boise Phil Rehearsal Hall. It's on the second building, or sorry, the second floor in the Boise Phil building. And then we'll be presenting a little bit more about Sondheim, talking more about Sweeney Todd specifically and our production specifically. We'll give a sneak peek to some production, scenic designs and our costume inspirations and things that are going into the production. And then we'll also be presenting singers singing not only Sweeney Todd excerpts, but other Sondheim music during that time. So it'll be a really fun, intimate kind of concert experience, plus a little bit of a lecture recital thrown in. And Gemma, I also want to say that, if people can't make it to that, we do a pre-performance talk 1 hour before each show that we do, and so people can come a little bit early, hear from me about the show itself, about the music. Andy Anderson, my music director, usually talks a little bit about the music as well. And I usually invite one or two of our production team to talk about a bit of the behind the scenes. And by that time, we'll have it all on stage so they can tell you how they solved all the problems that we that we encountered. But yeah, that's an hour before every show, every performance.
Well, thank you so much for taking time to speak with us during such a busy time. We've been talking with
Yeah.
Stacy Trentiso. She is the general director of Opera Idaho, talking about the upcoming production of Sweeney Todd, and she will be sharing more about what it takes to put this musical on stage. She'll do that next Monday, the 29th. It will be at the Boise Phil Rehearsal Hall. You've been listening to Idaho Matters from Boise State Public Radio. I'm Gemma Gaudette.